I'd like to welcome everyone to the July 14th, I did that last week. August 14th, 2023 meeting of the Delaware County Board of Commissioners. Would you please rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. Thank you, everyone. I'll do introductions. I'm Jeff Benton, President of the Board this year. To my left is our Vice President and fellow Commissioner Gary Merrills. To my right is fellow Commissioner Barb Lewis, our Administrator Tracy Davies, Deputy Administrator Don Houston, and other Deputy Administrator and General Counsel Eric Hostetler. Clerks today, Sarah DeNova and Jennifer Walraven. We can begin.
Resolution number 23-667, in the matter of approving the electronic record of proceedings from regular meeting held August 7th, 2023, and special meeting held August 8th, 2023.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion? Vote.
Vote on motion 23-667. Mrs. Lewis?
Aye.
Mr. Merrill?
Aye.
Mr. Benton?
Aye.
We do not have any public comment today, so that brings us to item number 3, resolution number 23-668, in the matter of approving purchase orders and announce certificates and payments of warrants in batch number CM APR 0811 and memo transfers in batch number MT APR 0811.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion? Vote.
Vote on motion 23-668. Mr. Merrill?
Aye.
Mrs. Lewis?
Aye.
Mr. Benton?
Aye.
Resolution number 23-669, in the matter of changing the location of the Delaware County Board of Commissioners session for Monday, September 18th, 2023, to the Delaware County Fairgrounds.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion? Vote.
Vote on motion 23-669. Mr. Benton?
Aye.
Mr. Merrill?
Aye.
Mrs. Lewis?
Aye.
Resolution number 23-670, in the matter of canceling the Delaware County Board of Commissioners sessions scheduled for Thursday, September 7th, 2023, Thursday, September 21st, 2023, and Thursday, October 5th, 2023.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion? Vote.
Vote on motion 23-670. Mrs. Lewis?
Aye.
Mr. Benton?
Aye.
Mr. Merrill?
Aye.
Resolution number 23-671, in the matter of delegating temporary authority to the county administrator.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion? Vote.
Vote on motion 23-671. Mr. Benton?
Aye.
Mrs. Lewis?
Aye.
Mr. Merrill?
Aye.
Resolution number 23-672, in the matter of accepting the treasurer's report for the month of July 2023.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion?
Morning, Commissioners. Rick Carr, Treasurer's Office. Just wanted to make sure you're aware that we're having a pretty good year right now with interest rates from an investment perspective. So we've brought in, as the report indicated, $6 million so far this year to the general fund and should surpass $11 million this year in interest income. So just, it's in the report, but just want to make sure you're aware. Any questions?
No? All right.
right,
Vote,
thank
Jennifer?
you.
Thanks, Rick.
Vote on motion 23-672. Mr. Merrill?
Aye.
Mr. Benton?
Aye.
Mrs. Lewis?
Aye.
Resolution number 23-673, in the matter of authorizing the use of a procurement card for the Emergency Medical Services Department.
Good morning,
So-
Commissioners.
Whoops.
So moved.
Second.
All right, discussion.
Good morning, Commissioners. I'm Anna Smith, Financial Administrator for EMS, and we're just requesting approval for our new Assistant Chief of Operations, Jerry Miller, for a P card.
Okay.
Do you have any questions?
No questions
No
here?
questions.
All right, vote, Jennifer?
Vote on motion 23-673. Mrs. Lewis?
Aye.
Mr. Merrill?
Aye.
Mr. Benton?
Aye.
Resolution number 23-674, in the matter of setting the bid date and time to receive bids for the package plant upgrades project for the Delaware County Regional Sewer District.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion.
Morning, Commissioners. Eric McPeak, Deputy Director of Operations for the Sewer District. This first item is to set the bid date and time for the package plant project. We've been working on this design for a while. There's a lot of infrastructure that's going to get touched, and the timing's pretty important. This includes upgrades to Tartan Fields, Lower Scioto, decommissioning the Sire Reserve treatment plant, package plant now, installing a new pump station, and then upgrades to O'Shaughnessy. The engineer's estimates right around $10 million for the build. This, when we started our evaluation, we were looking at rehabilitating site of reserve, and those estimates ranged, this was before the last couple of years too, we got those numbers, they were in the $12 to $15 million range, and we would still have capacity issues long-term. So this will send more flow to Lower Scioto. I'd be happy to answer any
And we're
questions.
closing Side of Reserve, correct?
Scioto Reserve will be decommissioned, yes, as a part of this, so.
Sounds better than closed, decommission, I like
Yeah.
it.
And again, more flow to Lower Scioto makes sense as well.
That's right.
And that one is well under capacity, so good to
That's
see.
absolutely correct. So that'll help with the treatment there. It's a bit of a struggle. We did make do, but the more flow is just gonna do nothing but help.
What's the timeline for this then, Eric?
This is probably a 2-year build. There's a lot of interconnected pieces and parts that need to happen before, along the way. So we're looking at probably a 2-year build, and depending on material procurement as well. That might stretch it out, but overall, 2 years should be about right.
Okay,
It was budgeted, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Yeah.
all right. Vote, Jennifer?
Vote on motion 23-674. Mr. Merrill?
Aye.
Mrs. Lewis?
Aye.
Mr. Benton?
Aye.
Resolution number 23-675, in the matter of setting the bid date and time to receive bids for the package plant upgrades project Lower Scioto wastewater facility and Scioto Reserve force main contract for the Delaware County Regional Sewer District.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion?
So this project is very connected to the one we just talked about. This is basically installing the force mains for the project. Typically, these are different contractors that do this. We've, bid out the force mains separately. That helps with the timeline and also to get the force main started. That can take some time because most of the work is in the right of way. So that's why we're bidding this separately. And I can take any questions on this one as well, obviously.
Okay.
Nope.
All right. Vote, Jennifer?
Vote on motion 23-675. Mr. Benton?
Aye.
Mr. Merrill?
Aye.
Mrs. Lewis?
Aye.
Thank
Before
you.
you walk away,
Thanks, Eric.
the ribbon cutting for the new solid waste is this Friday.
That's right.
We've been through a lot of days. I will not be able to be there because of the
Understood.
4th or 5th date change they've had. I've been out of the area, so I just want to give you my regrets.
That's all right. We'll make do, and I'm sure it'll be, the key is that we're gonna open that facility up soon.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
Right, yeah,
It can be a great addition to the area.
absolutely.
Yes.
yep. Yeah, thanks for all your work on that.
No,
Yeah.
no problem. Thanks.
All right, very good, Jennifer?
Resolution number 23-676, in the matter of approving a permit for the use of Delaware County facilities.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion?
Morning, Eric Hostetler, filling in for Jane Hawes. This is a permit to allow for use of the historic courthouse for a filming project. The applicant is here in case you have any questions, and I'm also available if you have any questions about this specific permit.
Yes, I think there are some questions. So, I don't know if you had anything you want to start with, Judge?
Sure. Actually, before we...
If you could introduce yourselves.
Yes, I'm Dave Hemanowski, not here in that capacity, but in another capacity, serve as the probate juvenile court judge
Great.
in the county. Mr. Skiro, standing to my left, is the producer and director of the film project. But before I get to that, I have a gift for you.
Oh, boy.
It's not a gift from me, so you don't need to declare it. in
Oh,
that
the
way.
Abraham
And it's not
Lincoln.
a gift to you personally. It's a
Great.
gift to the commissioners.
Great.
It is a framed portrait of Abraham Lincoln.
I remember you talking about that. That's
And this
neat.
portrait was given to me to give to you by Judge Shaw's daughter. They are, as you know, Judge Shaw, of course, was the General Division Common Pleas Judge for 27 years. His courtroom was this room. This room is now named after him. Jennifer Gams, his daughter, is getting ready to get their house on Griswold up on the market, and called me a few weeks ago and said she had come across this portrait in the home. It was in this room, in fact, on that wall for 27 years.
Oh, my gosh.
And hung in Judge Shaw's father's law office in Pennsylvania before that. And she thought it should come back to the county in some way.
okay.
I don't know
Thank
whether this
you.
is this would be a fitting place for it.
Sure.
I don't know
Sure.
whether it's appropriate to do that or not. I'll leave that to you. But she wanted to make sure that it got to you all.
Oh, thank you, Judge.
Yeah, thank
I
you.
will give it to
great.
Mr. Hostet.
Our attorney has since
Yeah.
hands.
And picture hanger. Do you know the origin of that? I mean,
I
how old
don't know
that-
the provenance other than that it was in Judge Shaw's father's law office.
Okay, it looks pretty old. I mean,
Yeah, I think whatever we do with it, either on the back of it or perhaps a small plaque, something should, note the connection to Judge Shaw and to this space, especially if it ends up back in this space. I told her if the commissioners did not have a place for it, that I was sure one of the judges would find a place in one of the courtrooms, but it does seem fitting that it would end up
Yeah.
back in or near
Yeah. Yeah.
this room where it hung
Right.
for.
I
for
just
so
want
long.
to thank the family for thinking
Sure.
about this, and obviously we
Absolutely.
named this room after Judge Shaw.
Right,
So it certainly seems appropriate that we find a place for it in this room.
it does, absolutely.
Yeah.
So, I will note, she also brought me all of Judge Shaw's research on the history of this building. For whatever reason, questions about the history of this building now seem to be coming to me. But Judge Shaw is gone, so I appreciated that very much. I'm going to make sure the Historical Society gets copies of all of those records before they go anywhere else. Now, to the issue that's on your agenda today. A little bit of background from me, since I am probably how we ended up standing here instead of in front of someone else. Mr. Secure came to me, probably close to a year ago, having seen me in another production, to ask if I would play a small role in the independent film that he is producing in Central Ohio this summer. And as we got to talking about it, we were talking about filming locations and what would fit for certain filming locations for that project. A number of the scenes are set in a police station, and it needed to look like a sort of very official setting, older sort of stately government building. And loving this building as much as I do and knowing the care you took in renovating it, I thought, in particular, the hallways and common spaces of this building would be perfect for that. So during a day that the building was open to the public, we came over and took a look at it and with the cinematographer and decided that it would be an ideal place to shoot those scenes. The film's about half made at this point, including 12 hours of filming yesterday, and is being shot in and around Central Ohio. Filming locations to this point have included the old jail behind you, the barn on Stratford, several private homes, a restaurant in Marion, other places in Marion, Franklin, and Delaware counties, and have included cooperation from the Delaware Police Department, the Marion County Sheriff's Office, the Jefferson County Sheriff's Office on props and things of that nature. At least in as much as I have seen, they have left every filming location in better condition, cleaner and in better condition than when arriving. I would note, as to this particular portion of the project, these scenes, as I said, would be the police department. The gentleman playing the police chief, police captain, in these scenes is an actor by the name of Doug Bradley, who is very well known from his role in a series of horror films, to the fact that I'm not a big Comic-Con person, but apparently if you go to Comic-Cons and he's there, there's a line down the, wrapping around the building waiting for folks to get to see him. Last weekend, Courtney Gaines, an actor who's been in a number of major Hollywood productions and television and movies, is also an acting coach to a number of prominent actors, was in the jail next door, playing a role in that portion of the film. I know you have a policy, and I suspect that that's why Eric stood up and why you mentioned to him you have some questions for him. So I'm going to short circuit that a little bit, although I suspect you'll still have questions for him. I do want to remind you of past practice in this area under the existing policy. And that is that there have been at least 3 theatrical productions in fact, 2 of them in this room in the past, and 1 in a commissioner's space in what was then the commissioner's office next door. Those productions were significantly more intrusive and significantly less secure than what we're talking about here. In each of those productions, there were 20 or more persons in the cast and crew, and there were 50 or 60 members of the public coming into the building. The building was open to the public to come in. Tickets were sold for the public to access the building in those settings. In this situation, it will be a very small number of people in the building, 4 actors, I think, total in those scenes, a crew of a half dozen or so The building will be secured the entire time and locked, just those folks will be entering the building, and the building will remain locked behind them. The public will not be in the building. Tickets will not be sold for folks to come into the building as they were for those other productions. But I would note that in those other circumstances, there was no security involved, and nothing of that nature required for those productions to occur. I would also note in this circumstance that not only will the public not be present and in the building, but that a county employee will be with them at all times in the building and to ensure, somebody who cares about this building an awful lot, as I mentioned earlier, to ensure that no harm comes to the building. Your policy calls for costs to be borne by the person asking for use of the facility for maintenance and cleaning, things of that nature. That's certainly entirely appropriate. The policy also references that if the general public is going to be coming into the building, then the building needs to be secured with the use of the private security company, now Allied, that serves the county's needs. I would again note in your past practice that was not the case for these kinds of performances, even when the public was coming into the building, which they are not doing in this case. So I would argue that that is inapplicable in that the building will not be open to the public. I would also note that I think it would be counterproductive to the public interest to do so, in that the amount that's in the policy for reimbursement may actually be less than what the county pays to Allied, so that we would literally be losing money in order to have someone do nothing, to sit and watch, look at their phone. And that seems to me not to be inappropriate or good use of public funds in that way. Regardless, whatever is required, I know Mr. Scuro is willing to do. The other thing I would note just is that I think there is another manner in which the public interest plays here, and I would encourage you to think big in this regard. As we were filming at the jail the other day, I was talking to Melissa Stroop, who is the facilities manager for the Historical Society. And Melissa made the comment to me, "Oh, I'm so glad you're there. This is fulfilling my dream that the jail would be a perfect place to film movies." And here is sort of an example of now how that can be done and something we can show to people. As I said earlier, Hollywood is more and more moving away from filming in California for a variety of reasons. There is a huge filming market now in Georgia. In fact, Mr. Gaines, who was here last week, lives in Georgia. Mr. Bradley, who's coming in next month to film those scenes, lives in Pennsylvania. Two of the Marvel movies were filmed in Cleveland. And I think this is a small independent project, but potentially establishes a model by which those larger productions could bring significant dollars into a community. And I'll leave it at that. But I'm sure Mr. Secure will be happy to answer any questions that you have.
Okay. Judge, thank you. Welcome for questions.
Tell us a little bit about what the documentary is going to be about, or is the theme, or the...
Sure. Do you want me to do that, or do you want to do that?
It's a mystery thriller, detective thriller. It trails a detective who is living in the shadow of her father. She has a gift for solving crimes, and in which throughout the movie we have placed a series of those crimes. It's not horror per se. There's no. It's PG-13. There's no slasher or anything.
I don't think there's a swear word in the script anywhere.
I think there is, but it's I don't want to mislead you, but it's not. A lot of people when they hear independent film, they automatically in the area they think it's of this nature. Like with the use of the facility, it's simply very low-key exchanges between the police captain and the detective. She investigates her cases. She has gifts that leads her to the conclusion, and she is in the battle of good and evil from her late father and a couple of her mentors.
Mr. Merrill, other comments?
Obviously, we've had a number of questions about this. I'm going to give you my Reader's Digest version here. Unfortunately, we're not real clear on what our requirements are as you and I discussed earlier. this is also a profit-making film, theoretically, hopefully, right? Hopefully.
Well, this has been something I've wanted to do for a while. It took me, it's a low-budget film, and I have been overwhelmed with the support that I've received. I was just choked up a minute ago. I mean, it sounds, you know, it took me a while to get in position to do this, and I have had support that allows me to do this.
Well, anyway,
The odds of, I mean, that would be great. I would
Okay.
love to consider it something like that, but I've entered into this with that being a very, you know, it would be something for this.
Then let's say
Below
It
expectation.
would be, it is.
theoretically, it'll
And
be
I've accept-
profitable.
And I have
Okay.
accepted that this is a labor of.
But we're not real clear in our guidelines on that topic. It's something that I'm going to ask and suggest that we correct over the next 30 days and have something before us. And the argument about, the comment about Atlanta, which I had shared with you in a conversation this morning and frankly shared with the administrator. I understand and value that, but I also think it's reasonable to, once we get the guidelines redone, that needs to be addressed in some form. But based on how our guidelines are structured today, I am going to support it with the understanding that we will be much clearer. You don't know about these issues till they come up or till they come up. So no one's done anything wrong, but for the benefit of all involved, we need just to have some clarity about what the rules are.
Clear policies are always a good thing.
So with that in mind, I reluctantly am going to support it for the reasons I just gave, but expecting clarity in the near future. With the understanding you're going to take care of cleaning and the upfront charge, which is nominal, but, okay? That's my comment.
Mr. Lewis?
We have a formal recommendation from our attorney for the full fee, which does include the security. My concern, and I would support that, the full fee. My concern is that we're setting a precedent if we don't do that. And money's money. I mean, it's something of value, though, that we're offering. And again, I would support the resolution with the payment of the full fee.
Which I think is roughly $1,000 or a little.
Yes, it's $1,025, $1,000 and $1,025.
Yeah, that is?
Yes.
Okay, I'm going to cut you off. Yeah, I think, again, promoting our courthouse and this beautiful facility that we've invested so much money in is a great idea. There's some intangibles coming with that. Again, our policy isn't clear. I agree with Commissioner Merrill, we need to clarify some things, but I don't think we need to pay for the extra security. We've not had any incidents in the past, and the clarification I'd like to see in the policy is that if an elected office holder is here in the building, we wouldn't need to pay for extra security unless it was necessary.
Well,
But
I couldn't support that. If I was doing it, I would not want any exceptions. As electeds, I don't think we should make exceptions. So I just think that would be a bad policy. We should play with the same rules that we expect the public to play by.
I think if you made that exception, I would recommend to you that you make it for a county employee. The theory being that you had perhaps a class that somebody was doing or something educational or something of that nature where you had a county employee. In fact, I think that occurs already on a fairly regular basis.
So anyway, I support doing this and wish you the best. And it's going to be neat to see, so good luck with it. We'll need to take a vote, unless other comments.
So what are we voting on? Are we including the full fee of $1,000?
Well, I think the vote is the use fee and the cleaning fee.
The resolution in front of you specifies a $25 fee.
There's no cleaning fee in
There's no
there?
cleaning fee. So we'll need to amend the resolution? Can we do that?
Of course.
Eric, yeah.
We can do
you
that.
could guide us.
Eric Hostetler again. First off, I do want to point out that the policy for this type of use does require a finding of public purpose, and I do agree with the statement about public purpose, so I just wanted to be clear on the record about that, that promoting this facility, promoting filmography within Delaware County just generally, I think is a good thing. I think it meets that
Right.
public purpose, so
Right.
there was no issue there. The question about the fee, I normally don't get involved in those recommendations. So the way the policy is supposed to work for larger groups is there's a determination from facilities whether additional cleaning is necessary. There's a request to the sheriff's office about whether security is necessary. Since this was smaller than 30 individuals going to be here, that process doesn't apply. And so it was kind of a sidebar discussion about what should the appropriate fee be. If you determine that security from our contracted security professionals is not necessary, then obviously we would not need to include that in the fee. There is a flat fee of $25, and if we also want to charge the cleaning fee, then that would make it $125. If you're asking about the resolution, we can change it to $125. You don't need to take a vote on that. Just instruct the clerk that that's what you want included in the resolution, and then you can vote on it. So happy to answer any other questions you might have.
So you are suggesting just $125 fee? Is that
I
what
am
you're
not,
saying?
my recommendation was that it makes sense for security to be here, but that is for the board to decide.
Yeah.
If there's a consensus of the board that says we don't need to have
Right.
our contracted security, I believe, Tracy, correct me if I'm wrong, but it's $58 is what it costs us.
$58.11 an hour.
So we would not be fully reimbursed if we had security here. So if you think it's necessary to have security, getting $50 instead of 0 is better. But if you don't believe the security is necessary, then obviously we're not going to charge that amount. So that's for the board to decide, not for me to decide or any other administrator to decide.
I guess, okay, we're gonna be changing the policy, but
No, we're not changing policy, just.
There-
no,
there's-
no, I mean, in the future, we're gonna
Well, yeah,
clarify
we'll change it in the
it.
future.
Yeah, so, I still have a problem with the precedent. I think security should be included.
And that is for the board to decide. Again, we don't have a formal recommendation from the sheriff's office because this was a group that was less than 30 participants. So as far as I know, they've not been consulted about whether they thought security was necessary. So as far as I'm concerned, that's for the board to decide whether you want to have security here in the building. The policy kind of spells out where people can go, and the application indicated where people would be located. Room 203, which I think is going to be kind of like a staging room, for lack of a better term, that's in the policy. For some reason, the hallways are not, so that's why there's a special determination that they can use the hallways. But other than that, our policy is clear that users are not to go into any private offices. And so if you trust that that is going to be the case, then maybe we don't need to have any security here. I would also point out that the applicant was Judge Hemanowski. And so he agreed to be responsible if anything goes wrong. For, I think he.
And he is nodding yes to that.
Credit card
No.
payments and everything.
So he,
Checking into a hotel.
him being who he is, he understands what that means. He didn't just sign it blindly like some, layperson. He knows what all that means. And so if you want to take him at his word that he'll make sure that the building is taken care of, that seems reasonable to me.
May I add something?
Okay,
very
yes,
quickly?
sure, go ahead, Judge.
I just want to real quickly follow up to something Mr. Hostetler said, which is that the policy provides that if the group is under 30, then the sheriff's office is not consulted about security to determine whether security is necessary. I think that's an indication to you that you've already set a precedent in this area. I understand absolutely what you're saying, Commissioner Lewis. I think you have practically set a precedent in this area with previous productions of this nature coming into the building, theatrical rather than plays rather than movie, but artistic performances. But I think your policy anticipates that those small groups in public areas of the building don't require security, which is why at that stage you don't consult the sheriff's office about what security is.
But there's a lot of gray areas.
There is a lot of gray
Talking
area,
about
yes.
after hours.
Yes, I'd be happy to assist in
and-
redrawing that policy.
And
Yeah.
the other point is, we had a conversation this morning, security is not for the 99% of the time things go well. Because generally, that's what happens. It's for the 1% where something could go wrong. Having said that, because of this, our policy is not that clear, I'm supporting it with the $125 change with the understanding that we address it over the next 30 days.
And I think also I would note, the filming will be occurring in places in this building that right now are open to the public with no security in this building.
But they're not open on Saturdays and Sundays
Absolutely.
after hours. That's,
Absolutely.
I don't think we're splitting hairs.
No,
I think
I
it's
don't
a
think so.
distinction.
Okay, other comments? So Jennifer, I would ask you to amend the resolution to be $125.
Okay.
With the usage fee and the cleaning fee.
You're voting on a resolution that includes a $125 fee.
Right.
Vote on motion 23-676. Mr. Merrill?
Aye.
Mrs. Lewis?
Aye.
Mr. Benton?
Aye.
Thank you, folks. I hope this is the start of, I hope you've got Harrison Ford here in the future asking you to use the building.
Well, he's getting kind of old. Let's get
Okay, I hope you got Brad Pitt here in the future asking you to use the building. Thank you, folks.
And I wish your event success.
Yeah,
And I hope
good-
you
good luck.
understand
Yeah.
the process we went through today and why it's important.
Thank you all so much. Thank you.
I meant what I said. I would sincerely be happy to assist in the redrawing of that policy in the
Yep,
future.
we do need to clarify it. So again, thank you.
Thank you.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Item number 12, resolution number 23-677, in the matter of appointing members to the Tax Incentive Review Councils.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion?
Good morning,
Vote.
Commissioners. Tracy Davies, County Administrator. We're just asking to replace Tyler Lane and myself with Monica Connors and Justin Navi for the Tax Incentive Review Councils.
Okay. Any questions, comments? Vote, Jennifer, please.
Vote on motion 23-677. Mrs. Lewis?
Aye.
Mr. Benton?
Aye.
Mr. Merrill?
Aye.
Resolution number 23-678, in the matter of approving a cooperative agreement in furtherance of annexation between the Board of Commissioners of Delaware County, Ohio, and the Tri-Township Board of Fire District Trustees.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion? Any comments? Again, this is part of the process. Eric may want to weigh in on this one. Part of the process of getting the fire station.
Eric Hostetler. The commissioners had previously granted some land for use by the Tri-Township Fire Department for their new station on Bowtown Road. And that property, along with the Bixby campus property, is contiguous with the city of Delaware. And in order to get utility service to those properties, annexation is required. So in order to facilitate that annexation all at once, instead of having Tri-Township do their own separate annexation, county do their separate annexation, this transaction will allow that property to flow back to the county temporarily to accommodate that and complete the annexation, and then we will release all of our rights to that property and proceed. So, happy to answer any additional questions you have about the process, but this agreement just facilitates that.
Questions, comments? All right, vote, please.
Vote on motion 23-678. Mr. Merrill?
Aye.
Mrs. Lewis?
Aye.
Mr. Benton?
Aye.
We do have another business item to address today, the resolution number 23-679, in the matter of authorizing the county administrator to pursue CDBG urban county entitlement.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion?
Good morning, Commissioners. Tracy Davies again. We received notification from the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development, basically giving us an opportunity to pursue federal CDBG entitlement instead of at the state level. We're still exploring what exactly that means, but I believe it's due to our increase in population that we are now potentially able to pursue these fundings, which could be significantly more than we currently receive through the state. So we are just looking for your support so that we can continue those conversations.
Okay. It sounds like it makes sense to go this next step. Nothing committed at this point.
Correct.
So, questions, comments? Vote, please.
Vote on motion 23-679. Mrs. Lewis?
Aye.
Mr. Merrill?
Aye.
Mr. Benton?
Aye.
Administrator reports?
The only other thing to add is that the Transportation Improvement District Board met last week, and the main topic of conversation is just what Rob Riley was in here about a few weeks ago, just some of the funding that's coming out through the state for Intel-related projects, particularly on the county line, which some of those projects will flow through our local TID group, just for efficiency purposes.
it's encouraging. There's a lot of projects over there
Correct.
which are needed.
Absolutely.
And we'll be reimbursed for those projects.
Yes.
Yeah. Dawn?
I have nothing, thank you.
Eric? Nothing else? Eric's been at the microphone a lot today.
Yes.
Commissioner Merrill?
I have several things, and I know we have a hearing that I'll try to make them quick. Commissioner Benton, Tracy, and Don and I attended the Hartford Fair last Thursday. As many of you know, the northeastern part of our county, that's a fair that they frequently, and we went up there. We don't typically get to go to it because we normally have session Thursday mornings, but it worked out, and they have a nice fair. They do a great job up there. Commissioner Benton and I were at Berlin Middle School yesterday for the ribbon cutting. Amazed at the number of people that came out for that. It was a huge crowd and very enthusiastic crowd about the new middle school.
Yeah, and new director Ann Cannon, Maureen Ann Cannon was there. She's got a daughter who's going to be going to the new school.
And she came up and said hi to us, and she'll be joining us. I think she said the 29th. I asked her the 27th. She corrected me at the 29th. And I had a Corsa board meeting on Friday. I also had interviews at Ohio Wesleyan Entrepreneur Center as we look for a new director there. And Thursday evening, Commissioner Benton and I were at COYC in Marysville. And Friday evening, Hope in a Box, you may recall Memphis came to our session last Monday, so I dropped by there to say hi and show my support. And CCO Symposium is this Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, and I'll be attending that. And we also have Regional Planning Executive Wednesday morning, so I got full slate. With that, I'm done.
Always a lot going on. Commissioner Lewis?
Sure. I went to the unveiling of the mobile refrigerated van for people in need, and it was really great. It's amazing. So many, as you know, people in need has a monthly pantry in which people can show food. I should say food produce pantry. So people can come in and get the groceries they need. They also have a pantry every day at their offices. But one of the things, of course, is that people who are in need don't necessarily have a car and can't get to the pantry or the monthly food distribution. And so we funded part of this mobile refrigerated van, and it was really great. A former dairy farmer was able to put people in need together with someone who designed the van. It was quite impressive, and so it can go out and serve all parts of the county and serve people who couldn't come in to people in need in their headquarters here in Delaware. So they want to also show the two of you, since you were up in
Yeah, we couldn't make
somewhere
it.
else.
We were at Hartford.
Hartford Fair.
Yeah, right,
And so anyway, I think the van might come by someday after they have gotten rid of the refrigerated items.
Right.
Refrigerated and frozen items too,
Right,
so
right, it's great.
it was great. They're doing a great job.
Yeah, PIN's an outstanding organization.
Yeah.
Is it?
Oh, gosh, what else? There were a few
Commissioner
other
Merrill
things.
always covers
I think
the most of the
yeah,
things.
I think he hit it. Transfer station is 1 o'clock
Transportation's Friday.
on
Yep.
Friday.
Yep. CCO conference, Commissioner Mayor mentioned, Delaware County Transit is having a public meeting. I encourage everyone to think about going to that. I'm planning on going to it. It's the YMCA tomorrow, I think, from 5:30 to 7. They've got Andy Volnick, the new director, is doing an outstanding job of trying to figure out where strategically that organization needs to go, and he's very interested in public input, so I would encourage you to go to the meeting. Berlin Middle School, just a couple of thoughts. This is the 27th building in the Olentangy School District. When I was a kid, there was one. So it's incredible just how that organization is, or and they're doing a great job, outstanding part of our community, and a big part of why Delaware County has grown so fast and been done so well.
I believe they said 27th building in 30 years, I believe is what they said. That's what-
Something like that. 6th middle school. So again, just a great organization. Okay, so I think that's it for comments. Anybody has anything else? We'll move into the hearing then.
We just need to note the time, and then you may proceed.
Okay. We are opening the hearing. We don't need to take a vote. We changed that process before. So we're going to open the final hearing. I will read through the instructions of what will happen today. This is, I'd like to welcome everyone to the final hearing for the consideration of the Village at Harvest Wind Condominiums Drainage Improvement Project. There's a sign-in sheet circulating the room. We ask you please sign the sheet to indicate your attendance. Here's what's going to happen today. We'll hear a summary of the final hearing report from the county engineer and the Soil and Water Conservation District, who will provide a presentation of the proposed project. Following the presentation, there will be time for questions from the board. After the board questions, the board will hear from any interested owners that wish to testify. This is important. Those speaking for or against the petition must be either an owner, as defined in section 613101 of the revised code, or an attorney speaking on behalf of an owner. Before accepting testimony for or against the project, the board will address any exceptions to the schedule of assessments or claims for compensation or damages owners have filed in this manner. The board will then acknowledge the receipt of any landowner written testimony before hearing live testimony. First call on those wishing to testify in favor of the project. We will then call all those wishing to testify in opposition to the project. Before testifying, you'll be asked to take an oath. After all those wishing to testify for or against the project have been heard, there will be an opportunity for responsive or rebuttal testimony. The board will close the public hearing after all testimony and evidence has been presented. After listening to the testimony and the report of the engineer, the board will decide whether to find in favor of the improvement, affirm the previous order, confirm the assessments, and approve the payment schedule, or the board may dismiss the petition and set aside the previous order. There are three things the board must consider in making its decision: whether the proposed improvement is necessary, whether the proposed improvement will be conducive to the public welfare, and whether the cost of the proposed improvement will be less than the benefit the improvement provides. All right, so with that, the hearing is open. I've gone over the rules for today, and we will turn it over to the Soil and Water Conservation District. Brett?
Good morning, Commissioners. Brett Bacon, Deputy Administrator, Delaware Soil and Water Conservation District. We have a brief presentation on the project, and I'd be happy to answer any questions the board may have. The Miller-Williams Homes No. 2 and the Village at Harvest Wind Condominiums Drainage Improvement Project has been requested per ORC 6131. Project timeline: September 14th, 2022, the petition for the drainage improvements was filed by the Village at Harvest Wind Condominiums. December 12th, 2022, the view was held, and March 2nd, 2023, the first hearing was held, at which time the board requested that we move forward with engineering and survey and design work. Petition specifically asks, in Delaware County, Genoa Township, within the Miller-Williams Homes No. 2 watershed, and generally following but not limited to the course and termini of the existing improvements, inclusive of the existing flood control improvements within the Village at Harvest Wind condominiums. We also request the Board of Commissioners consider consolidation of the petition with the Lynetta Lane Drainage Improvement Petition per the provisions of Ohio Revised Code Section 6131.13. Further, it requests to generally improve the drainage, both surface and subsurface, to a good and sufficient outlet by replacing, repairing, or altering the existing improvements as required and/or creating new surface and subsurface drainage mains or laterals as requested by this petition. The watershed for this project is approximately 207 acres, and that watershed is almost entirely urban with smaller areas of woods and golf course. The petition has two distinct requests. The first is to improve and maintain the Miller-Williams Homes No. 2 open channel, which is represented by the black and yellow line you can see at the bottom of the map. It is also requesting to accept portions of the existing stormwater improvements in the Village at Harvest Wind condominiums onto drainage maintenance. The Miller-Williams Homes No. 2 portion of the project will consist of open channel restoration, rock channel protection, log jam removal, clearing and snagging of brush and debris, and reseeding following construction. The cost estimate for this portion of the project for construction is $37,210. Administration, planning, and construction inspection, $8,400. A drainage maintenance pay-in of $2,230.50, and contingency of $6,691.50, for a total estimate of $54,532. The Village at Harvest Wind condominiums, we would propose to accept portions of the stormwater system necessary for flood control. Several areas have been identified as requiring minor repairs, including the removal of tree roots from the retention basin outlet and clearing of trees and brush directly over the outlet pipe. The cost estimate for this portion, the estimated current value of the original improvement is $150,472.50. The per property share of this original value, based on 104 units, is $1,446.85. We're proposing an initial 3.5% collection rate based on the necessary work that was identified by our inspection, with an initial per property annual maintenance assessment of $50.63. Calculation of assessments. The ORC instructs the county engineer to calculate assessments to individual property owners based on the benefits derived. The ORC further goes on to quote, say, lands that have been removed from their natural state by deforestation, cultivation, artificial drainage, urban development, or other man-made causes shall be considered as benefited by an improvement required to dispose of the accelerated flow of water from the uplands. To calculate assessments, we take the acres benefited times the land use factor times the percent use, which gives us a parcel assessment factor. The parcel percentage share then is the parcel assessment factor divided by the sum of all the assessment factors. The parcel assessment then is the percentage share times the total estimated cost. For this project, this formula has been applied to the distinctive subdivision areas as a whole, respective to the project sections, with the resultant assessment amount then divided equally among the parcels within the subdivision to produce the per parcel assessment. Payment options. Landowners may pay their full assessment up front within 30 days of the final hearing, in this case by September 14th, which also must give notice by September 5th. They may also choose to have the assessment placed on property tax bills as a special assessment, and choosing this option would include interest and bond fees as well as the auditor's treasurer's 2% collection fee, which is applied to all special assessments. Bidding and construction. Approved projects are advertised for public bid per ORC. The lowest best bid is to be awarded the contract, and bids may not be accepted in excess of the final hearing engineer's estimate. The final schedule of assessments would be reduced pro rata by the difference between the estimated cost and final cost if the final cost ends up being lower than the estimate. Upfront payments in this case would then receive a refund. ORC 6137 requires completed projects to be placed onto drainage maintenance. The purpose of drainage maintenance is to keep the project operating at its design capacity, and maintenance funds are collected as a special assessment. Common maintenance activities include inspections, seeding, repairs, logjam removal, and erosion control. Maintenance assessments are determined based on the final schedule of construction assessments. Most of our projects average between 2.5% to 5% annually as a collection rate. Collection percentage can vary depending on the maintenance needs of the project, and drainage maintenance funds are project-specific and perpetual. Cost-benefit analysis. Benefits to residential parcels focus on quality of life, neighborhood perception, and home site sewage treatment systems. A failed home site sewage treatment system can cost $15,000 to $25,000 to repair or replace. New developments average around $8,700 per lot spent on providing adequate drainage outlets. With 326 residential parcels in the watershed, this would produce an average benefit of $2,836,200. For roadways, the lack of an adequate outlet can lead to water on the road surface and within the road base, resulting in traffic safety hazards and increased maintenance of the roadway surface. Other benefits potentially realized focus on quality of life and positive neighborhood perception. Communities with well-planned and well-maintained stormwater drainage systems generally have higher resale values than those without. Decisions. The Miller-Williams Homes No. 2 can be approved without approving the Village at Harvest Wind. Approval of the Village at Harvest Wind is contingent upon approval of the Miller-Williams Homes No. 2 portion of the project. Approval will require setting repayment period and whether to bond, confirming the schedule of assessments, and ordering the project to be advertised for competitive bid. If the decision is to deny, it is recommended to distribute costs incurred to this point to the landowners in the same ratio as determined by the final schedule of assessments. The estimated costs to date are $5,400. Engineer's recommendation. Based on all of the information gathered and generated, I believe this project as proposed is technically feasible and would serve as an adequate outlet for the drainage needs of the watershed. Furthermore, the parcel assessments for this project are within the range of assessments that can be expected for a project of this scope. The testimony brought to the Board of Commissioners by the landowners as to whether the benefits of this project exceed the costs should be given significant consideration in the decision to move forward with this project.
Okay, thank you, Brett. At this point, we'll take questions from the board. Commissioner Lewis or Merrill?
I have none.
Nope.
I did have a couple questions for you, Brett. This is a little complicated because we're doing setting up a maintenance system or maintenance project, and then also doing some construction on a separate.
Correct.
Separate part of it. The streets and the homes to the west and the north of the condominiums are not included in the condominium association, as I understand it, and therefore it's not the Harvest Wind condominium drainage program does not include any of those homes on the west or the east side of the ponds, if you will.
Correct.
Okay. 'Cause
Yes.
I noticed
Yes.
that when I was looking through the assessments.
It's, let me see if I can.
That they're all getting a piece of the Miller-Williams Homes estimated assessment, but only some of them are getting for the Harvest Wind condominiums.
Let's see if I can make this a little bit bigger. Yes, so, can we put the, thank you. Okay, so this area right here, that's not showing it. I have to go back. All right, so this area right here is the condos.
Yep.
All of their drainage drains down to this pond
Okay.
and then enters the open channel right here. They also have a road culvert right here.
Great.
None of these other areas within the project watershed utilize their storm system. So their storm system is separate from the other storm systems in the other subdivision. They all eventually empty into the open channel, though.
And what you're saying is the Harvest Wind condominium area is already, has its own drainage system, and it's okay?
Yes,
A little
yes.
bit
So,
of minor stuff.
aside from the minor repairs, we did identify a pretty significant blockage in the outlet pipe for this basin here. And there are some trees that are growing directly over the outlet pipe, which is probably why we have tree roots in the pipe. We would propose if we took that on maintenance, we would absolutely clean that out. That's the work that's been identified.
Okay. I noticed some of the assessments are $10, some of them are $101, some of them are $170, you know, depending, I think, on the street. Could you explain
Yeah.
the difference there?
So we have some distinct areas. You have the Lynetta Lane subdivision up here. You have the Medallion subdivision. And you have portions of Harvest Wind the portions of Harvest Wind that would drain into this pond and then obviously enter the open channel right here. Those parts of the project all have 100% use. So they're utilizing the full length of this proposed project, the open channel. As I stated in the presentation, what I did was take the area, so considering Lynetta Lane, it would have been, I'm going to try and draw it out here, this area that is the Lynetta Lane portion of the subdivision, looked at that as if it was one parcel, calculated the assessment for that parcel, and then divided the assessment equally amongst the parcels in the subdivision. So did the same thing for Medallion. For the Harvest Wind, broke it between the parts that are draining through this pond, and then there's also parts that drain into this pond, which this pond outlets pretty much right down here at Spring Run Drive. So those parcels that outlet through this pond had a very low percentage use. So those would be your parcels that had the $10 assessment, essentially the minimum that we can apply.
Okay, okay. That helps explain it.
So obviously, the assessment would be affected by that percentage use, and then obviously the number of parcels that are sharing in the cost of that assessment.
Okay, other comments, questions? We'll go into the testimony phase of the hearing then. First, we did not have any written testimony.
No, we did not have any written testimony turned in.
Okay, so we're good with that phase of it. So now we'll call, first call on all those wishing to testify in favor of the project. So if you want to testify in favor, come on up. I'll give you an oath. And you could identify, if you could identify yourself and the parcel.
My name is John Schroeder. I live at 6146 Langton Circle in the Village of Harvest Wind condos.
Okay.
Your parcel number, do you know it?
Do you know the parcel number?
I do
Can you tell
not.
from that? I don't know that.
Commissioners, I would like to clarify, we do not have what we traditionally have as a map with the
Yeah.
numbered parcels, simply because the number of parcels and the
small.
size of the watershed, the labels would basically be unreadable. So
Okay.
Number 41.
apologize for that.
You found it, Jennifer?
41.
Number 41? Okay. Our eagle eye clerk found it. So anyway, let me swear you in if you could, Mr. Schrader. Do you solemnly swear the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Okay, proceed.
Like Brett was talking about, we have 3 ponds. They all drain into eventually to the ditch number 2. I feel that I'd like you to vote for the approval of this project. One of the basins that he was talking about is full of roots. It's got water all the way up to the top of it. And I know I talked to Brett and I said, shouldn't this drainage pipe be empty? And he said, yes. So if it continues to clog up, it's going to flood the Grasmere Pond, and then it could come up over the banks and get our basements flooded. Ultimately, by approving this project, it clears out the ditch number 2, which benefits everybody above us too, all of our northern neighbors. So with that, I'd vote for you to approve the project.
Okay. Very good. Thank you. Additional testimony in favor? Okay.
Donna Andriot, parcel number 317-42402-008-534. Also known as 62.
That's way more complicated than we like. What is the number on the form? Can you see it, Jennifer?
What's her address?
Yeah, what's her address?
That's easy, 6278 Langton Circle.
Okay, you're also in Langton, okay. Do you see it, Jennifer?
What's your name again while we're waiting?
79.
What is it, I'm sorry?
Her assessment is number 79.
79, all right. All right, let me swear you in. Do you solemnly swear the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, I do.
Okay, you can proceed.
I was fortunate to sit in on a meeting with Brent Bacon as he showed us the videos of the pipe system and what was going on, and was astounded by what I saw. I had no idea that was what was going on, causing some of our drainage issues. And so I fully support what fellow resident John Schroeder said, that we should move forward with this project.
Okay. All right, thank you. Additional folks who want to speak in favor of the petition? You don't have to. Nobody has to speak. So make that clear.
My name is Patricia Ann Bell, and my unit is 6456 Grassmere Drive.
Grassmere, okay. Jennifer, do you see that one?
I can rattle off my parcel ID if you'd like to.
No, that's way too complicated for us.
The very end of the units. I'm essentially the gatekeeper on Grassmere.
59, is that it, or?
Yes, 59.
59?
Her assessment is number 59.
Okay.
Basically, I just.
Did I swear you in?
Yeah, no, you did
Let me
not.
swear you in, please. Do you solemnly swear the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Okay, you can proceed.
Basically, I just want to say that I agree with the project. I've been involved along too and seeing how it's not working the way it's supposed to, and I'm very much in favor of getting it to work the way it's supposed to and prevent any future flooding issues and pond issues that we have currently.
Okay,
Okay, thank you.
all right. Thank you. All right, additional folks who want to speak in favor of the proposed petition? Anyone else in favor, wants to speak in favor? Last call. Anyone else wants to speak in favor of the petition? All right, we'll move on to those, whoop. Just under the bell. Okay. I'll swear you in. Do you solemnly swear a testimony about to give us the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Okay, could you identify which area?
My name is Al Vall, 6386 Grassmere Drive.
Okay, it's Hall, is that what you said?
Vall, V as in Victor,
Oh.
O-L-L.
Okay. Let's see if we can find it.
Bless you.
All right. There we go. A lot of homes in this one.
My unit is in a preservation trust.
Yeah, we're looking, oh, it might be in a trust, okay. Yeah, that would have a different name then. Okay, well, we'll proceed.
Okay, I'm a former president of the association, and I encourage you to vote in favor of this project. I lived through a few of the drainage issues that we have, and I'm hoping that this will correct them.
Okay,
Thank you.
Thank you.
all right, thank you. Okay, anyone else wishing to speak in favor of the petition? Okay, last call. Anyone else wishing to speak in favor of the petition? All right, we'll move on to those wishing to speak in opposition to the petition. Anyone is, open to whoever wants to speak in opposition now? All right, we'll do the last call on those wishing to speak in opposition. Okay. We will conclude the testimony part of this hearing and move into questions, comments from the board? Any?
I
Commissioner Merrill,
will
Commissioner Lewis?
ask, pardon me, seems to be overwhelming support, and we have had extensive testimony on this before today, too, and I would ask the clerk to read in favor of finding the improvement and affirming the order for Miller Homes. I'll let you finish.
Resolution number 23-680, in the matter of finding in favor of the improvement and affirming the order for the Miller-Williams Homes Number 2, part of the Village at Harvest Wind Condominiums Drainage Improvement Project. Was motioned by Commissioner Lewis.
Second?
All right. Let's see, we'll do discussion. Comments?
Yeah,
Commissioner
I
Romero?
think, yeah, this is a great solution, and certainly sympathize with the water problems that you all have had, and our people are excellent, and they'll do a great job, and water is always such a tricky thing, and to be able to solve water problems is huge, and this will do it for you.
I'd just like to add we get a lot of these. The consensus on the neighborhood obviously plays heavily in our view, and I think you're very insightful in making a decision that will serve you long into the future. And our board's required to consider three factors: whether the proposed improvement is necessary, I believe it is; whether the proposed improvements will be conducive to the public welfare, again, I believe it does; and whether the cost of the proposed improvements will be less than the benefits of the improvements provides. And I think it's, this project is, on all three counts, deserves support, so I will support it.
Yeah, I would echo Commissioner Merrill's comments. Again, we run into some of these, and they're very, very expensive to fix. And this one is not as expensive to fix, but there is a real issue there, so I think this one's pretty clear. Jennifer, let's vote on the resolution, please.
Vote on motion 23-680, Mr. Benton.
Aye.
Mr. Merrill.
Aye.
Mrs. Lewis.
Aye.
Resolution number 23-681, in the matter of Commissioners confirming the assessments and approving the payment schedule and ordering the letting of contracts for the Miller Homes Number 2, part of the Village at Harvest Wind Condominium Drainage Improvement Project.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion? Vote?
Vote on motion 23-681. Mrs. Lewis.
Aye.
Mr. Benton.
Aye.
Mr. Merrill.
Aye.
Resolution number 23-682, in the matter of finding in favor of the improvement and approving the order for the Village at Harvest Wind Condominium part of the Village at Harvest Wind Condominium Drainage Improvement Petition.
So moved.
Second?
Discussion? Vote?
Vote on motion 23-682. Mr. Benton.
Aye.
Mr. Merrill.
Aye.
Mrs. Lewis.
Aye.
Resolution number 23-683, in the matter of Commissioners confirming the assessment for the Village at Harvest Wind Condominium part of the Village at Harvest Wind Condominium Drainage Improvement Project.
So moved.
Second?
Discussion? Vote?
Vote on motion 23-683. Mrs. Lewis.
Aye.
Mr. Benton.
Aye.
Mr. Merrill.
Aye.
Okay. I'm not sure we officially closed the hearing, but it is now closed. So that's it.
Yes.
For regular business. We do need to go in executive session though,
We
please.
do have need for executive session today. Resolution number 23-684, in the matter of adjourning into executive session for consideration of promotion and compensation of a public employee or a public official and for collective bargaining.
So moved?
Second.
Discussion? Vote?
Vote on motion 23-684. Mrs. Lewis.
Aye.
Mr. Merrill.
Aye.
Mr. Benton.
Aye. All right, we're now in executive session.